All right, it's 5 o'clock and I'd like to call the August 1st, 2024 meeting of the City of Pleasant Hills Architectural Review Commission to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Of the United States of America. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is roll call.
Commissioner Kapoor?
Here.
Commissioner Pathar is not here yet. Commissioner Weir?
Here.
And Vice Chair Nelson?
Here.
And Chair Johansson is out this evening.
Okay. So we do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is public comment. So at this time, the public is welcome to address the Architectural Review Commission on any item that's under the purview of the commission, but is not listed on today's agenda. So anything that we're not going to talk about later on. So is there anyone here who would like to speak on an item that is not listed on today's agenda? All right. Please come up to the podium. And when you're finished, if you wouldn't mind filling out a speaker card for us, that would be great.
As a 49-year resident, I want to thank you for your service, trying to make Pleasant Hill a great community for the future. And for the future, we must all face the consequences of climate change. And to that end, our transportation must change. We must look to Europe for examples. Large polluting vehicles must go. And I own 2 Studebakers. Public transportation, bicycles, and walking must be promoted by our city. Now, pedestrians do not seem to have a power voice, and I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed that there are signs on Taylor Boulevard that say pedestrians not allowed or something to that effect. $5 million was spent on Pleasant Hill Road south of Taylor. But children in my neighborhood, etc., cannot walk to their public school without breaking the law. My children walked to school when there were stairs at the end of Madera. My daughter bicycled to Sequoia Middle School. Now, plants also use carbon dioxide, one of our problems. We must work with nature to absorb carbon dioxide and store water. Pleasant Hill should encourage the planting of trees that absorb carbon dioxide. We must not pave over our land. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. I would actually just invite you to the city adopted a new general plan last year. It's a 20-year vision for development of the city, and it's quite different from previous plans that got us what we have today. It's got a lot more in there about, less dependency on automobiles, more bicycle and pedestrian mobility, that sort of thing that you're talking about. So if you want to take a look at it, it is online on the city's website. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak under general public comment? Oh. Oh, I thought you were trying to get my attention. Oh. All right, then we're going to move on to the, oh, right, the minutes from our last meeting. Oh, you know what? I don't think we can act on that because Commissioner Weir wasn't here. Only two of us who were there are here.
You
Yeah.
technically do not have to be here to vote on minutes, but if you want to continue it, that's fine too.
Oh, would you like to vote on the minutes from last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, then we will go ahead and review the minutes. So would anyone like to make a motion on accepting the minutes from the July 11th meeting?
Thank you. Motion to approve.
I guess I'll second. Okay.
Commissioner Kapoor,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
and Commissioner Nelson.
Yes. All right, then we'll move on to public hearings. Before that, let me inform everyone, the Architectural Review Commission welcomes in-person comments as well as written correspondence received via email or through regular mail on any agenda item or a general statement on a non-agenda item, which we had previously. The city requests that you fill out a speaker card like this. They're at the back of the room, I believe. Yeah, available at the entrance to the room. Sorry, this is my first time being chair in a year and a half or so. I'm a little rusty. And turning to the staff liaison at the table here, and then we will call you up to speak when your item is called. Copies of all comments received up until 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting will be provided to us, and any email or written comments received by 4 p.m. will also be included in the minutes as a received public comment. So with that, we will move on to the first item, and that is ENT 2023-0029, Learn and Play Montessori School, 2285 Morello Avenue. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Nelson. Again, so this is a architectural review permit request by Learn and Play Montessori Preschool, and that school will be located at 2285 Morello Avenue. The scope of the project is to establish a 202-student preschool, and that will be reviewed by the Planning Commission under an associated use permit application. This architectural review will review several other items, including a 2,073 square foot addition to the rear of an existing building. It will review rooftop equipment screening, new screening that will screen existing equipment. We'll be reviewing new landscaping, and we'll also look at new outdoor play area and then associated accessory structures on the site. Here's a look at the site, the aerial view looking northward. The existing single-story office building is in a PAO zone district, that's professional and administrative office, and it's surrounded by a multitude of different uses, including single-family residence to the west. You have tennis courts and more office buildings to the north. You have the Hope Center Covenant Church, as well as the Hillcrest Shopping Center to the east. And I would also point out that Taylor Boulevard is the road that traverses the southern border. The existing site plan shows the existing office building. It's on the northern side of the site with the parking lot situated on the south side. On the east is the easement across both the church property and the shopping center property, where vehicular access is provided to the subject site. On the far western side, adjacent to the parking lot, that open area with some trees dotted around it, that right now is just open space, and we'll look at that. That will be the outdoor play area. Here's some photographs of the property, just give you an idea what's there now. There's some of these parking spaces will be removed. The parking lot will be reduced from 40 to 34 parking spaces. in order to make additional room for the play area. That bottom shot, the picture is looking back up the easement past the church. And here's some additional photographs up on that play area, which is now open space. I think once was maybe nicely landscaped, but has sort of fallen away. And that fence, the wood fence you see at the top of that hill, that is the residential community on the other side of the fence. So that would be Madera and Wiggins up there. The proposed site plan would keep the same site layout and circulation layout. There'd be no changes to the parking lot circulation, which is sort of a circular donut-shaped parking lot. The addition on the building is actually on the rear of the building on the northern side, and it would only have one exterior wall surface. And we'll look at that up close on the first floor plan and the elevations. The play area has a mixture of different types of activities for children. There's play mounds, there's a play structure, there's some swings and some other sort of musical instruments and other activities for children, as well as a small picnic area with tables and some shading. The site would receive new landscaping throughout, especially along the western side bordering that single-family residential community. There's a row of trees, 17 total trees will be planted, including a row of evergreen type, sorry, I'm blanking on the name of the tree right now, but they will buffer, hopefully, the rooftop of the building from the residences next door. The floor plan here shows mostly classroom spaces throughout the building, small office, small conference room, and then the north side with that crosshatch, you can see the additional floor area that will be constructed. The existing building is somewhat of an H layout floor plan, and so they'll be filling in that portion up there. And new addition would blend in with the remaining portion of the building. Here's a look at the rooftop. There is some bulky equipment up on the rooftop right now providing HVAC to the building. And the applicant has proposed 2 screen systems to encompass those mechanical equipment. There's a detail there that shows it's constructed from wood, so it would match sort of the wood frame window systems found throughout the building. And there would be 2 different systems with entry points on the inner side of each system. Staff would point out, and it's one of the discussion items tonight, that our citywide design guidelines encourages the use of a single screening system wherever possible. The applicant maybe can speak to this too. They've proposed 2 systems, which in one sense allows them to tuck those entry areas on the inside so they're not visible from surrounding views. And perhaps the use of one screen system, because the equipment is spaced out on the roof, one system would add to the bulk of the building in an undesirable way. And so 2 systems might break up that bulky appearance. And the commission can consider whether that's a suitable approach or not. Here's a look at the front and rear elevations. The front elevation would largely remain the same with the exception of those roof screens that you can see on the rooftop. New ADA ramp and railing, and then on the lower right-hand side in that cloud is the new trash enclosure that will be provided on the site. And here are the other 2 elevations of each of the sides. Again, you can see the new roof screens on top. Otherwise, the side elevations remain the same. Although on the east elevation on the top, you can see in the cloud the new trash enclosure. Again, I brought up the landscape plan in case there are any questions on it, but they are providing new landscaping throughout the site to beautify the property. And they're using a variety of different plant types, flowering plants, ornamental grasses, things that we commonly see on new projects around the city. They provided fence details. The tubular steel fence on the left would be a fence used surrounding the play area. And the fence on the right is a detail of a overlapping wood panel fence that would be used on the east side of the property bordering the church. Staff also is recommending, and this would be more in the Planning Commission's purview, that they install a new wood fence on the western property boundary as well, where the property abuts the residential zone district. The applicant has provided new lighting throughout the site. The light on the left, I would point out, is the parking lot standard light that would be on a 12-foot tall pole, and there would be 3 of them located within the parking lot, sort of on the 3 points of the corner, of the triangle, I should say. And the other lights are either building-mounted lights, ceiling, like soffit-mounted, or they're landscape lights, like the one on the right that would accentuate pathways and things like that. All the lights are downward facing, so they're full cutoff, and in a sense, they conform with our citywide design guidelines. And the project will be conditioned to require a photometric plan be submitted prior to the building permit phase to ensure that they comply with all light standards in our ordinance. Here's a look at the outdoor play area furniture that they provided. Furniture, play structures, all the different types of activities and things like that to give you a general sense of what they're incorporating, what those things will look like. That play structure in particular would be in the play area, and we verified that it does conform with setbacks and height standards. And with that, I'll leave you with some discussion points. One would be the roof screens. Again, our design guidelines encourages 1 roof screen whenever possible, and the applicant is proposing 2. And lastly, the building and site modifications in general, if there's any areas you want to discuss or have questions about, feel free to ask. And with that, staff's recommendation is that the Architectural Review Commission recommend approval of the architectural review permit as proposed to the Planning Commission, subject to the staff recommended findings and conditions of approval contained in Attachment A. And lastly, I will say thank you, and I'll let you know that our applicant is here and does wish to make a presentation of his own, if that's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions for Andrew at the moment? Okay.
You talked about 2 systems for the roof enclosures.
Yeah.
When you say 2 systems, do you mean 2 continuous systems that are joined or 2 different typologies?
One typology, but
Joined.
separated into 2 screens instead of 1 cohesive screen.
And there's a staff recommendation about a new fence adjacent, on the west side adjacent to the residence. Is that because of the dilapidation? Like, is it for cosmetic? Like, what is the source of the recommendation?
Yeah. So through the use permit review, we'll review the use, and anytime, our ordinance says anytime a daycare, this is considered a daycare, it's a preschool, abuts a single-family residential zone district, they should or shall install a solid wood or fence or a wall. Sorry, they should install a solid fence or wall. It could be wood, it could be masonry, it could be different materials. And so that's the requirement, to have a solid wall. The current fence is not solid since it's really just single butted panels. There are small gaps in between the panels to allow sound or light transfer. And so that's why we would recommend that they replace that with a wall that provides more attenuation of the sound, a solid wall. Yeah.
I have one question about the fence as well. It looks like there might be a gate to the residential area. Is that new or is that existing
A gate,
on the steel? on the steel fence? Like, does it
Are you
open to
talking-
the residents?
I think that's interior.
Or is that interior? Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right. No more questions at this time? Okay. Then, yeah, I don't have any either at the moment. Might have a couple for the applicant. So if the applicant is here, I don't know if we have a comment card from the applicant. Is the applicant here? Yeah. Okay. If you'd like to come up and add anything you'd like to Andrew's presentation, this is your opportunity.
Yes. Shannon's on it right now.
Okay,
That's not it. It was that presentation. Oh, you can take this down then. Sorry. Let me send it to you again.
With your permission, Andrea, also would like to share some of the emails and the comments from the residents.
Can we share this with the commission?
Yeah.
Okay. You can, yeah. Mhm.
So here's, I'm sharing, and these are the only new comments from the public. So that you see regarding the crisis, the lack of daycare and childcare, things like that. And it doesn't really exclude them. But here's some of the parents, I did a post survey.
You can put in explaining.
Okay, all right.
you were talking? Okay,
No,
I can put it in the X drive.
As I'm not recording, I was saying, if you would like to explain this further, then it will be on the record. Okay.
Hi, my name is Karen Gerwal. I'm the founder and owner of Learn and Play Montessori School. Harpreet and I, we started our schools back in 2008 in a small home daycare. Today, we have large facilities serving, a lot of our sites serve anywhere from 150 children to 200 children. We provide a very quality, high-end, some of our schools are Montessori and some of them are curriculum-based and play-based. We came in Pleasant Hill. We have a school in South Pleasant Hill. And we turned it around, is a beautiful school and it's very popular. It's right next to an elementary school. The challenge that we're facing is parents are upset because we're not able to provide them with after-school program. They want their children to be a part of our preschool because in the after-school program, either they don't have space or they're not getting quality curriculum. So they're wanting, this year we shut down our after-school program because we do have to offer to those families that are 18 months, that have children that are 18 months old, 2 years old, and 3-year-old. And obviously 4, but a lot of the children are going to TK, but they want to come back to our after-school program. What the parents want is for us to continue our after-school program and open up another site. So we're getting a lot of these parent, they have groups, moms groups, and they're asking for solutions from us. What is your solution to this problem? Because there's just not enough quality daycares out there. So, we go into a site, we make it beautiful, we make it, nice. We put a lot of nice, curriculum in there. We provide jobs to about, this site will probably hire about 35 to 40 staff members. As Harpreet has given you, he's given a lot of parent concerns, emails, and that they're struggling. These are working parents that are looking for either morning care, all-day care, or after-school care. And some of the families do have two or three children where it's an easy drop-off and pick-up from the elementary school as well as our preschool, but we just don't have enough space. The other thing that Learn and Play does is we open our programs to low-income and subsidy children. So we have a lot of our parents are paying parents, but some of the schools or preschools don't open up their care to subsidy children. So that's one of the things that we do as well. So we really need to open up Pleasant Hill in order to serve a lot of these families and obviously the children. Okay, that's all.
We can go on with this next slide. So,
So you would talk about,
Advance the slides for you. It's a
Yeah.
PDF if you want to just,
Okay,
yeah.
so I can speak.
You guys can speak together. That's
Okay. So, yeah, if she's on the podium, I have to sit. Sorry. Yeah. So,
fine.
yeah. Like my wife said, we are very passionate. Like my background.
If you could just speak into the
Sorry.
microphone a little. Thank
So
you.
we are very passionate about childcare, especially, what we do is we provide a very high-end STEM-based curriculum to very early, at an early age. So when we started in Pleasant Hill, like she mentioned, about 2 years ago, the school was struggling with the curriculum, staffing. So we turned it around. We also almost spent about 200-some thousand just renovations inside the school. So the biggest problem we already had foreseen is that there was too much demand and not enough supply. So and with public TK, it just made it really worse. So biggest issue that we have last year and this year is that a lot of parents are complaining. Bad Yelp review, yelling and screaming at our teachers, saying that, how come we are turning away students? So they don't understand it's not up to us. We try to explain that it's, we have to follow the law. We have to have a certain set of kids. We cannot go more than 130 capacity that we have. But sometimes falls on deaf ears because they're more emotional. So what we committed is that we will do everything that we can to build another school in Pleasant Hill. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So not only we are trying to accommodate these families, but we are also trying to get more families into our schooling. Our school is waitlisted. We turned away, I think, about 80 families that were even a part of our curriculum because they graduated. Kids after TK, we are not taking them. They had kids up to 3 years or 4 years or 9 years old. We have turned them away. So it was very hard. So I really will encourage the city of Pleasant Hill to really help us out to solve this crisis. There's a 2,500 moms group, and one of the statements you can read on from here is the most frequent asked question on the moms group is childcare crisis. What is the city doing about it? Instead of us approaching the city and bringing all the moms and sending information to them for this hearing, we are representing hundreds of them. So I understand that some of people don't have children, but when it hurts, it gets really bad. For us to hear those complaints and not do anything about it. So again, my humble request for City of Pleasant Hill is 1, approve. Second is expedited because these kids have to go somewhere. Instead of going to subpar home daycares where they're not supervised, there's a lack of education. We provide a quality service to your community, and we are proud to be part of Pleasant Hill for the last 2 years, and our record is, pristine. And again, humble request. 1 is please approve. Second, to expedite the process of, us starting the construction on this site, so we can start the, Learn and Play Montessori Schools North Center at this location. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Not right now? I might have missed this, maybe, I don't know. So the site's vacant. What was it last used for and how long has it been vacant?
It was last used as administrative office for an engineering firm.
Engineering firm?
Yeah, ETIC.
Okay, and how long ago was that? Approximately is
I don't know
fine.
how long it's been vacant
It's
for.
been vacant. I mean, now we are, the pastor is here, so can tell you that now we are having homeless issues, not, issues, but, to make it more humane, we are having people that are trespassing. So it's been vacant for almost, I think, I would say 7-8 months. So it used to be used by office, it was used by some kind of soil testing company.
Okay, yeah.
And the site, again, end of the day, we want to make it beautiful.
And you mean they're trespassing into the building?
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean, a pastor is here. He can probably tell you about it.
okay,
So, so anyway, thank you.
thank you. Okay. If we don't have any more questions for the applicant or staff at this time, then I would open the public hearing. So I have 3 speaker cards here. If you'd like to speak, there are cards at the back table. Please fill one out and bring it up to the staff table here. Speakers have 3 minutes apiece. We won't stop you at 3 on the dot, but we'll stop you at 3:10. So, I'm just going to call the first card I have. Is it Bonita Brewer?
Can you hear me? I'm kind of nervous. I'm not used to doing this kind of thing. My name is Bonita Brewer. I live at 118 Wiggins Court. We, with my husband, the preschool would be immediately over our fence, our back fence, on the southern half of our back fence. So just to give you some bearing, we're not trying to stop this use, certainly. We know daycare is needed, preschools are needed. We understand the actual use permit will go before the planning commission, but we have big concerns about a characterization in the public notice about the CEQA exemption, that it's a, called it a, a negligible expansion of an existing use. That engineering firm that was there had maybe 25 employees. We've been at that location for 12 years. I think before that, it was a counseling office. So this is a big, 200 kids is, I think you were saying even among their schools is one of the bigger ones. So we have some concerns about the noise, about the security. There is trespassing on the property now, but I'll tell you, the right to the northern half of our fence is a tennis court run by the church for kids' activities and for school just various activities, and it's got big security problems now. And there's a chain link fence between the tennis courts and this property. That fence is, the gates are broken. People are getting back there all the time, and so we have some big concerns. This is a pretty big departure from what we're used to. Wiggins Court, it's a quiet street. It's our understanding that the school would be operating with multiple activities throughout the day, so there'd be a lot of activity coming in and out. We certainly hope, and Bob here was talking about the fence at the end of Madera Way. We hope, and I've talked to a lot of neighbors about this, we hope that never is opened up as a gate so that parents to a preschool could drop their kids off on Madera Way rather than through the proposed access that's being, talked about tonight. With respect to the fencing, it's my understanding that staff is recommending the existing 6-foot fence along the residential side, that western side, be replaced with a solid wood fence that overlaps to help reduce noise, but we have a couple of questions about that. It doesn't say how high that fence would be. I believe in the staff report says that in a administrative office district, am I really out of time? Okay, 6 feet's permitted, but we would like to go to 8. I think the staff report also says that it can go to 8 feet. Our street is located, there's some elevation. So from that tennis court with those activities, we get a lot of noise from that tennis court because we're higher up. So if we could have a high fence, we would really, really appreciate that. I'm going to give the other half to my husband because we had more to say.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. This thing is broken. So you have not filled out a speaker card? If you wouldn't mind doing it.
Palmer, I did.
You're Bob?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm Jeff.
Wait,
Bob's over there.
so you're Jeff?
Yes, ma'am.
You're Jeff, okay. All right, thank you.
First, I'd like to say you did a great job of explaining the whole thing to us. And who do I ask this question to? Is this a done deal? Is this a done deal? This is gonna happen?
No, that this is under review.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
don't know how this operation works, but
is what a done deal? The permit approval?
the school.
The school? Oh, no, we're here reviewing the school.
Okay, because I just want to throw a hint out there. My neighbor said
Yeah.
he thought it'd serve us better as far as noise goes if it was a cannabis store and a massage parlor. But
I
guys are
doubt
gonna-
you would prefer
you
that in
guys
the
are gonna
end.
win out because our kids need this, you know what I mean? We are gonna be directly affected by this
Just,
monetarily wise, because the noise is gonna cause the value of our home to go down. And it doesn't matter if you put the fence up 20 feet tall and make it solid concrete. We know from experiencing that with the church when they have their little parties, but if there's no way around this, I guess I'll just have to try to get a job there. So I'm right in the thick of the noise. But we are going to be severely affected by it. So are our neighbors that didn't show up on both sides of us. But like I said, I know nothing about how this operates. I know the city's always looking for something to improve the look of things, and it looks pretty horrible over there. But we'll have to just find a way to work together with you guys. I'll stay with the script, she says. The planning commissions know about the potential of giving the playground size and the standard place. Would the play area be secure at night and on the weekends, like people get over in there and play around, or is that what you were talking about? There's going to be a fence locking it, made out of tube steel?
That is my understanding and
Okay.
maybe a question. Yeah.
yeah, and
Getting a
if there are
nod,
any
yeah.
outstanding questions after we've heard from everyone, we can
Okay.
ask the applicant to come back up and
Okay, and
answer
the musical
those.
play, we're hoping it's not the Rolling Stones or something. The trees, my wife's worried about the trees and the lighting, but you explained that thoroughly. They will be checked out and they won't be blaring in our dining room window or our living room window, right? Correct? Other than that, I thought it was already a done deal. I'm not going to fight it because I see the benefit in it because my son has 6 children. The youngest one is 2 years old and they pay $1,000 a month for that kind of a school. And I'm telling you, this girl is 2 years and 3 months old, and she's very smart.
I'm sorry, I did. I
I got
apologize.
31 seconds. Come on, what do you want?
We wanted to know how many kids were going to be in the play area at any given time.
These are all questions for them, right?
Yeah, we'll have them come up and answer
I
these
got 18,
questions.
I got 18 seconds left, and I just want to say, I like the way you guys run this thing. I really like the way you articulated the whole story, so thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have one more card. And then anyone else who feels like they want to speak. So that was Jeff. So our last card is Bob.
Okay. I'm Bob McMains, and I live at the north end of Wiggins Court. And this is going to be an enormous change. For 56 years, this has been a quiet office, maybe 20 people in cars. Rehabilitation headquarters, and then the engineering building. So we need to do this correctly to the best of our ability. It's going to be here for a few years. Traffic, noise, pollution, lighting, and the construction are my concerns. 200 students and 30 staff at different hours means rather constant traffic, noise, and carbon dioxide. The Pleasant Hill staff estimates 711 net new trips. That's a lot of cars. Frustrated parents honk and idle their SUVs. They're like mother bears, they get upset. There's an existing child care center to the east of my home in that same complex. I understand the extra noise and the excitement of Friday. Okay, in the main, this center has calmed down. But on the other hand, Montessori has a reputation of letting the kids go wild. It is popular to say, use your inside voice. Why is there an outside voice? I rarely hear the two girls living 2 doors down from me. Excitement at one's birthday party is to be expected. Yelling for no good reason is not acceptable. How many children will be on the play yard at any one time? Will there be a limit? Is there a limit? And I think there should be a decibel limit. These things happen. Now, in section F, somewhere in the reports there, they talk about the landscaping. Saratoga laurel trees will be on the western edge. Now, these can be allowed to grow as shrubs. Shrubs will absorb sound better than trees. Okay? That's important to break up the sound for all these people. Far closer than I. Ability to absorb carbon dioxide should be considered for all plants. In section G, fences to the north, I've been told that they're not maintained. Section J about materials. I don't think that PFAS, forever chemicals, should be allowed. They're harmful. There was something in the newspaper recently about a school allowing, but I run out of time. Do I get a couple seconds?
Yeah, if you want to wrap it up.
The lighting plan looks good. At the present time, there are 2 high-powered lights on the north side without shields that light up my bedroom. As a test of the good neighbor policy, I'd like to have that corrected right away. In section 29, the outside construction should stop at 6 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. All my neighbors should be able to enjoy their yard a little sooner. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are all the speaker cards we have. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing, but I would like to call the applicant back up to answer a couple of these questions.
I think
Do you have any specific ones for the applicant, either
I'll-
commissioner?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm quickly going to recap some salient concerns that have been expressed. And I want you to take the opportunity to tell us if these have been considered or what is your plan for these. One larger concern is security. The other is the fence, which would be 6 foot high, and the request to make it go up to 8. And the number of kids in the play yard at any given point of time. Light pollution, the total hours of construction, or actually when the construction is stopped, and traffic, general traffic influx in and out and times of the day. That's all.
Okay. Okay, so let me just start with this. This is not our first rodeo. So we've been around way too
So
long.
I'm going to ask you to
Sorry.
address it.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay,
People do it
addressing
all
you
the
guys, so
time.
I'm talking to you, but I'm addressing them, so.
Yeah.
All right.
And it just helps too with the recording.
Sorry, okay.
Thank you.
So we have been around for almost 17 years. We have been in multiple communities, from Dublin to Danville, Pleasant Hill, Hercules, Lawton, Fremont. We opened center. Majority of our centers are in residential neighborhoods. I have heard concerns in the past when we go through public hearing about noise, but nothing has materialized. None of our schools have any citation violations or any kind of public comment on noise pollution, number one. Number two on noise is that the schools are open only, for certain hours. There's nothing on the evenings. There's nothing on the weekend. We don't do any parties. There's nothing, it's just a strict hours. This is 7 to 6 or 8 to 5. Majority of the school is open from 9 to 4, like majority of the kids are there from 9 to 4. So it's a good segue into talking about the number of kids outdoor. We are required by the state of California Department of Social Services, Child Care Licensing Department to disclose number of kids. We cannot have more than X number of kids outside, which is, for example, depending on the play yard, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they cannot be all the kids out on the play yard at the same time. More likely, they'll be 50, 40 kids, and there's 2 different play yards. So the schedule is pretty tight. And sorry, keeping it short. So one of the gentlemen made a comment regarding Montessori. Montessori, as opposed to what was stated, is a very structured approach. Montessori is a worldwide known methodology of teaching that teaches kids discipline first, so they don't run out wild. Montessori, Google founders, again, not going into that, but Montessori is a very structured. Regarding the fence, absolutely 100%, we should do 8-foot fence. You know, we own the property. We bought the property. We want to stay there long term. I give you my word, this has never been an issue where we don't listen. We have to listen because, again, end of the day, our reputation matters. It's her and my school. This is our property. We want to make sure our neighbors are happy. I cannot control the kids' noises because kids are going to be kids, but what I can assure you guys that we are a very, very professionally run organization. It's not we have 300 plus employees. We serve over 3,000 families. We are one of the fastest growing private schools in California. So there's a reason why when we opened a school in Milpitas with 200 capacity, that was waitlisted in about 7 months. You know, we opened up a school in Dublin Ranch last October that was waitlisted in about 8 months. So the point I'm trying to make is that I would like to assure the neighbors that please give us benefit of doubt that we will do the right thing, regardless if you tell us or not. If there's any complaint, even if it's not in part of the study or part of our conditions of approval, we'll still do the right thing. So security, we'll install cameras. Every single site has 30 to 36 cameras, depending on the location. All the schools are locked at 6 p.m. or 6:15 when all the staff leaves. Weekend is locked. So hopefully there's no trespassing, but they're monitored. We have security systems. So any motions are detected, camera detect any person, coming in and out. I think that's pretty much it. Is there anything else? I'm sorry, I missed
They
anything.
brought up traffic. Just have you thought through traffic in and out of that?
Traffic, there will be in and out traffic because, people do drive cars. So, most of the kids are going to come, with maybe their 2 kids in 1 car, but there will be traffic, but it's not that it's going to be people honking. People are very cordial. They're very decent people. They know, especially going around schools, that we never had a traffic issue, in other schools. I mean, it is Monday through Friday. Nothing on the evening, nothing on the weekend. Nobody's honking, nobody's playing music. These are young kids. People are dropping off, and they have every right to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
No.
No?
No.
Commissioner Weir?
Vice Chair Nelson, I would also add, since it was brought up, the construction hours, that is a standard condition of approval that limits the construction hours on any project in the city. Commission can recommend alternate hours or abbreviated hours if you would like to do so, and the Planning Commission can also review that recommendation.
Can you think of any instances recently where they've been altered?
There has been a couple of projects that they've altered the hours, but it's mainly related to weekend hours. Because I think right now we allow Saturdays. There has been projects where they've limited the Saturday construction hours to interior work only.
Okay. And the 8-foot fence is allowable, I think you said, Andrew, in that zoning district, or where there's
It's an exception, I think.
it abuts the residential
fence,
district.
in this particular situation on that western property boundary, a fence up to 8 feet is permitted. Ultimately, it tends to be more of a use permit issue, the fence between a PAO and a residential zoning district, but the ARC, since it's also a design-related item, can make a recommendation on the height.
Okay.
I have one question. It's in the interest of just arbitration over here. There is a request about stopping construction at 6 instead of the permitted 7 p.m. Is that something that you would be open to?
Absolutely, yes, of course. Not only that, like, on the weekend, just taking a step back. I mean, again, I will tell you guys, this is not the first time we are doing this. I'm not leaving the property and selling it, the property of somebody else. The point for us is to, beautify the building, make it look really nice, and make Pleasant Hill and our families proud. So the point is, you got to live in the community, you got to act like one. So regardless of what they tell me, I'm going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have another question for staff. Public comment was made about how many people used to use the building. What's the ballpark capacity of this building? If someone were to come in here with another use that's just permitted outright, we're not having any of these hearings other than to maybe look at landscaping or something like that, what kind of numbers?
It's an 8,000 square foot building, so that may depend on the type of use. That's a 40 space. Thank you. It's an 8,000 square foot office building, and it has a 40 space parking facility. So I presume that the parking was ratioed on the floor area, and so approximately 40 people, give or take.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Sure. One final.
So regarding the use, just an FYI for the city to know, we have tried to rent it for the last 8 months or maybe 9 months. There's not been a single inquiry for renting it. The sign isn't posted there. So if that doesn't happen, the city, the building is going to sit vacant because I couldn't find any tenant for the last 9 months. So just city to know on record. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then it's back to us for discussion if we have all of our questions answered. Excuse me. Would anyone like to start?
It's a lot. So a lot of concerns, and a lot of good questions brought up. I think I have a question on the process, just because I'm a newer commissioner. After this, does it go to the planning commission? Is that
Yes,
the process?
we're
Okay.
asking the ARC to make a recommendation of approval or denial to the planning commission. And the
Gotcha.
planning commission will review both the architectural review permit and the use permit with your recommendation in hand.
Okay, thank you.
But you're only reviewing, just to clarify further, you're reviewing the architectural review permit only.
Yep, okay.
Right. And thank you, because I was going to say, we're not talking about the appropriateness of the use here. We're talking about how it looks. The fence has an aesthetic aspect to it, whether it should or shouldn't be there, should or not be 8 feet tall. The landscaping, the building addition, and the screen for the mechanical equipment, where, our purview is, and this is really for everyone, our purview is limited. We're not talking about, you asked, is this a done deal? That's for the planning commission to decide. We are just looking at the aesthetics here because we're the architectural review commission. Planning commission has all the power, not us. So,
Thank you.
so I'm just being real.
Yeah, that's their house 10 for me.
So, that being the case, do we want to talk about, let's talk maybe about the roof screen? I personally think it's better to have it as 2 instead of 1. As Andrew said, it cuts down on the bulk.
Agreed. Cuts down on material costs too, potentially, and access. I agree with the 2 screens.
Okay.
Also, it's, I think, more porous, so it doesn't make the whole thing look luckish. So I'm good with that too. The other would be landscaping items, the outdoor play yard, the play structure, and the access to the play structure, and the trash enclosures. So
say something else?
There will be a planning commission hearing, so you'll get another chance to comment.
I'd like to address the fence on the residential side. I would recommend an 8-foot fence as high as we can go. Living close to a school myself, I think that's one thing that does help in the dual. A new fence would give the residential side to a refreshed kind of look.
Would it be a new fence inside of the other fences? I don't know what they all look like up there, but you know, if the applicant here comes in, builds a fence, you know, installs one fence, you know, wouldn't match necessarily all the other fences that are along the property line. I don't know, but it could be, I mean, it could be a second fence on the inside of the existing fence too, right? I mean, there's no guarantee that it's a replacement of what's there. It could just be a fence to attenuate the noise. Is that right?
Yeah, the applicant would submit on the new fence on the site plan, and we can review that for consistency with what's there. I do know that there's an existing wood fence that traverses the end of Madera Way and some of the adjoining properties. That fence could be replaced with a solid fence. I believe some of the residences on the north side, like some of the residents here, have a double fence situation where they have their own fence and then there's the wood fence. I don't think we would be able to condition the project to replace fencing on their property, but
No, so that's what I was getting at, is that I don't want people to think that they're getting a new fence here or, you know, that the fence would be on this property.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay,
Correct.
Chair Nelson,
yes,
to be clear, they could build it on the property line, provided they can come to an agreement.
sure,
If they don't, the condition still applies and it will be on the school's property.
sure.
So
If
it could end up either way.
they work it out with everyone, maybe you do get a new fence, but don't count on it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification too. That's helpful.
I also want to draw, like, we've had public comments, and that's kind of like led us a little away from the actual integrity of maybe what we need to evaluate with regards to the school, its safety and everything. So the tubular fence and the right kind of tree cover that we need is something that we should also discuss, I guess.
Yeah, we should limit it to what's under our purview. So the landscaping, the fencing, all that.
I saw the Nikon calculation. I can't go back to the package of plan. That's right. I did.
Are there specific concerns about the landscaping?
I'm visiting whether we have enough, like a combination of trees and shrubs to offset like both visual connect as well as like give buffer for sound insulation.
Bear with us.
Where is the drop off?
Sorry?
Where is the student drop off? Like, where does the car come and drop off the child and then go?
That might be a question for the applicant to come up. Could you go real quick? She has a. The question is about the location, the actual location of student drop-offs. So is it just the expectation that everyone will pull into the parking spaces and there's not a drop-off area?
So the way we do it is that during the high traffic time, which is going to be from, let's say, 9 to 10, we'll have somebody stand outside and there's a turnaround. So we'll have somebody that they can drop it off and they can leave. But we're not going to have staff from 8 to 5 stand outside. Only during certain hours, which we know that it's going to be more traffic, so that the parents can drop off and leave. So they don't have to park. So right in front of the school. So we have 2 staff members typically with the tablets. They can check children in and out to make it faster.
So you're saying that the triangulated area, would that be big tree in between is the turnaround?
There's not a tree. I think it's a big rock.
There is a proposed parking lot tree and a triangulated planter.
Yeah, there's a right in front of the school. So there's a designated area for the traffic or the children to be dropped off and picked up during the traffic when the more traffic is going to be there from 5, let's say 5 to 6 or 9 to 10, something like that.
Well, and any overflow is going to be in the parking lot next door. I mean, it's the
There'll be
only
plenty of
place
park. That's
to
right.
come in. Okay.
That's right.
Also, is there at any given point of time, how many vehicles are parked inside the garage, like outside of pickup and drop-off hours?
It depends, right? So let's say in the morning.
Including special events?
We don't do special events.
Right. So if that's not into consideration, then at any given point of time of the day, that is not pickup of or drop-off
Maybe
hours?
10, 15, 20, I don't know. Depending, if there's, all I can say is there's two, maybe 3 different peak hours, depending on what the programs are enrolled, because we have different programs, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, morning care, after care. So majority of the parents drop off either from, let's say, 9 to 10 or 4 to 5 pickup. So during those times, depending on that, we'll have 2 hours, like a window in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon that, we'll have somebody outside. So I can say just for sake of it, please don't quote me on this. Maybe there'll be 10 cars, 15 cars parked outside.
And do you also have buses that come and pick up school?
Not yet,
Okay.
not yet.
So only parents come and drop
Yeah.
off, like you do not provide the service of.
We just launched an app right now, so we are also working on that. For carpooling, that's mostly for carpooling and,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So do we have any more comments on the design aspects of this?
No, I have comments like with just amongst ourselves. So I think with regards to security, aesthetics, it is for the overall betterment that this project starts and continues and like children come over there, because the place does need a much needed makeover, and having security there is a reinforcement of the security that the residents would get in the area. There are motion sensors. It's a new construction. It would have more recent technology to their avail. And this also beautifies the place. There is more greenery that is going to be added, trees as well as shrubs. And I feel like the play area is also sufficiently screened from both like the visitors who come to park and on the west property line as well. And is it a fair understanding that students are not going in any areas unsupervised? So the cover gets a little thinner as we come along the edge. I'm not quite sure what's in this area of the property, but if like we're looking at the larger chunk of what kids are doing over here, I don't see alarm bells going off with regards to noise or
Mhm.
safety.
I actually do have one quick question for the architect. If you wouldn't mind coming up.
So you had a question also about the ramp, is that what you're saying, access? That's one thing that, I don't know, was talking about, is that there's a accessible path that's extended from the existing shopping mall up, and it's considerably higher, the elevation. So now there's a new accessible ramp, takes you all the way up to the entrance of the building. And it also, the trash enclosure, the new trash enclosure is right on that path. So it's all accessible.
My question is about the lighting and so many different light fixtures.
And they all point down. So I think that was, we were trying to get away from that. They're all shielded. Even the parking lot light is, points straight down. And they're located in a way where they're not going to give off any light pollution.
I was just wondering if there's what the need is for all of these different fixtures. I mean, I understand the parking lot light aside, and then it looks like, I'm assuming the little one, this one, you says, is it more ground mounted?
Well, yeah, because we just
Okay.
talked about the accessible path, which is
Yeah.
very considerable. That's a enormous expanse. It's got lights all along
Sure.
it, get you to the, so that's a decorative thing. That's
And
what we
so
have.
then you've got like a floodlight here.
And then there's one, basically a wall pack that's going to go around the building for security, like we talked about. And then there's going to be a direct decorative cylinder, which is going to just be around the entrances and a few places to, kind of complement the existing modern building and still hopefully disappear. Again, points down, shouldn't be, so that's that one. And then there's two that look like a fin. They're only located on either side of the trash enclosure, and it's basically just to complement the look and also to give extra light as people drive in the evening in front of the thing. You can see it, and it should complement the look of that structure. So
Is that light 3?
that's right.
Okay, so on the building, it would only be these two.
That's correct.
Okay, okay,
It's not as complicated as it looks.
okay, thank you.
I actually have a question for the staff. The photometric plan would be submitted at a later time? Or,
Yes,
okay. And what time would that be?
with their building permit application.
All right. Do we have any other concerns or things to discuss regarding the design?
I had one small concern, and as I'm looking at it, just brought more to my attention, the playground that goes right up to Taylor. Can you talk about the barrier there with the street? I know there's probably going to be a fence, but I'm just a little concerned. Thanks.
Is there any way to put up the site plan on the board? Yeah, well, actually, you can even see in that photograph right there. Either one. I mean, we're complementing what's existing right now, and there's a row of greenery on both sides of that kind of drainage ditch retention area that's there. So that we're kind of keeping in line with what's going on right now. And then, of course, by the playground, there's additional trees and stuff that are going to be planted as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Oh,
One moment, please. Can we go back to that side photo, please? The photo, the Google photo. In adjacent to the neighbor, the place where the play yard is supposed to come?
This one?
No, a little bit before this. Before. Right. So, but I don't have a pointer, but there is sufficient buffer when it comes to like the top, the house on the top over there, that single family residence. But as it comes to the bottom where the play art is supposed to come, there is the trees and the shrub buffer thins out a little bit. However, if I'm going by this picture and I'm not sure how recent this is, there is sufficient cover within the property of that residence, like the tree cover, to offset sounds. So I'm just pointing that out to commissioners and asking if you all have any qualms about it.
Not particularly.
But then I think, yeah, I don't either.
Okay. Then, I guess my only comments would be, in this case, so we're in agreement that two structures to shade to screen the equipment is preferable. I think we're in agreement about the fence being 8 feet and, yeah, okay.
And new fence for the north side. That is the staff recommendation.
Right, the staff recommendation is new fence on the west side,
And
but it would be 8 feet, would be our.
both site is
amendment.
ADA compliant, but we don't, the trash enclosure, we don't have concerns about the play structure, outdoor play yard, and screens.
And then the
can make a-
construction hours,
Construction hours.
which really isn't our purview, but we can make a recommendation on it, right?
Is there a way for us to make a soft recommendation of just being mindful about the hours being within 6 p.m.? I wouldn't want the construction to be derailed either, because we've read the letters and we see that there is a growing need for the care. And I don't know how much happens within the hour of 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. But
I mean, it'd be up to the planning commission, but if the applicant agrees to it, it will be applied. So it's up to the applicant if he has a problem with 6, but the planning commission could establish 6 p.m. But I think you just want the PC to consider 6 p.m.
right. be
That's
mindful,
fine. We
yeah.
can pass that message on to the planning commission.
Seeing if we've missed any questions.
I think those were all, I think we've covered the items that Andrew highlighted. Yeah, he's nodding yes.
Okay. I can make a recommendation?
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, motion, sorry. So I would like to make a motion to approve the 8-foot fence, 2 screen structures on the rooftop, and the new fence that the staff recommended, as well as make a recommendation for the owners to keep construction hours within 6 p.m. To the planning commission.
I second.
Commissioner Kapoor,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Nelson.
Yes. So the motion passes. That's a recommendation to the planning commission. So there will be another hearing at some point for them to decide on the use permit, or it's a use permit, right? Yeah, on the use permit for the project. All right, thank you for coming. All right. Our next public hearing is ENT 2023-0031 RPM Auto Collection Architectural Review Permit and Sign Permit at 2060 Monument Boulevard. We have Jeff with the staff report.
After the fact color change, and the main colors are black with a trim color of orange. Landscape modifications are also after the fact. There's approximately 3,400 square feet of landscape area. Currently, the site exhibits one Canary Island date palm tree, and the remainder of the landscape area exhibits mulch. As far as the metal fencing, this is also an after-the-fact feature that was installed quite a few years ago. It's an unpermitted 6-foot-high tall black metal fence that's along the front property line and portions of the two side property lines. Sign permit is also associated with the request this evening. They're requesting office building wall sign reading RPM Auto Collection. It's white and orange with acrylic letters. It's non-illuminated, and it's 20 square feet in sign area, where a maximum of 25 square feet is allowed, so that would be in compliance with the sign ordinance. There's also two signs, one on the west and east sides of the canopy structure. These are also white and orange acrylic letters. They're non-illuminated, and it's 100 square feet total between the two. 50 square feet each, where a maximum of 75 square feet is allowed for both combined. So they're 25% over on the sign area. So a little bit of background: in September of 2001, the ARC approved a sign permit and architect review permit for design improvements to establish a auto sales use from a former gas station site. They were approved for a new auto sales office building, new parking and display areas, new site landscaping, and new signage. However, there are no city records that the Car Ranch business was ever established, and thus none of the site improvements were ever initiated on the site. On December of 2013, the zoning administrator did approve a zoning permit submitted by Caladad Motors to establish an auto sales use on the site. And that business operated from approximately 2013 till 2023. And again, there are no city records on file for that business, including a sign permit, architect review permit whatsoever. So there's some of the photos that are in your packet, just showing you what some of the existing site features are. You can see the office building in the background there and the canopy structure to the left. And there's another shot of the canopy structure is looking from the public sidewalk. And this is the east side of the canopy. These are the proposed or existing colors: black on the various materials out there, brick and some of the wood siding, and then the trim color being orange. This is the proposed landscape plan. This is looking out to the street, so the south side of the site is on the bottom of this, and the street side is on the top. So to the left, you can see where the one palm tree is, and pretty much the remainder of the landscape area, which is mostly perimeter landscaping, is exhibited with mulch. So here is the largest landscape area that's in the front right corner of the site as you're looking from the street into the site. And you just kind of mounded there. There used to be a monument sign there. And this is again kind of standing on that mound area looking back to the back corner of the site. And you can kind of see the perimeter landscaping and the one palm tree on the site. And this just gives you an idea about the width of the site, the perimeter landscaping, which kind of pretty much ranges from 3 to 5 feet wide throughout the site. And this is a photo of the existing fencing that we mentioned prior to this. And again, a picture of the fencing along the public sidewalk on the front property line. And the fencing in another section. And these are just some photos of where the existing signs would go and also the under canopy lights, but there are no changes to the existing lights, nor any proposals for new lighting. So these are the sign elevations. As you can see, these are the two canopy signs, one on the east and west sides of the canopy fascia. This is the sign details. As you can see, they're only about 3/8 inches deep, and they're acrylic letters, not non-illuminated. And a very similar sign will be on the sales office building along the fascia. And here's a site photo from May of 2005. So this kind of shows that the approved site improvements in 2001 were never established. And also this shows that the existing metal fence was not installed at this time. So staff's analysis is that the proposed landscape plan is not compliant with the definition of a landscape plan for the city. It would need some more plantings. It's also not compliant with the water efficient landscape ordinance standards. And, but it would be compliant in landscape area once the planting areas are completely planted, because they have about 25.5% of site landscape coverage, to where a minimum of 20 is allowed. As far as unpermitted and non-compliant metal fence, the height is non-compliant because it exceeds 3 feet and is within the required 25-foot front setback. So that is not a design issue as much as it is a code enforcement issue. But if this commission feels that the fence is compliant with their design standards, it could be lowered to 3 feet or less. So as far as the wall signs, as previously mentioned, the 2 wall signs on the canopy structure combined for 100 square feet, where a maximum of 75 square feet allowed for both signs combined. So staff's recommendation would be to reduce each wall sign not to be more than 37.5 square feet in accordance with ARC direction. Also to provide top and bottom spacing of no less than 5.5 inches in accordance with our city design guidelines. And then the 1 wall sign on the sales office building also provide top to bottom spacing of no less than 3.5 inches, again, to be in accordance with our sign design guidelines.
And can I interrupt? So the
Sure.
sign on the building, though, is otherwise compliant,
Yeah, it's compliant except with the sign design policy.
but the square footage is okay?
Square footage is fine, yes. So just to recap, some of the potential discussion items this evening are the proposed building colors, provision of a compliant landscape plan, including water efficient plants and an automatic irrigation system, removal or revision of the unpermitted and non-compliant 6-foot-high fence, revision of the wall sign area on the canopy structure, and revision of the top and bottom spacing on all 3 wall signs. But with that, staff recommends that the proposed plans, the commission review the proposed plans, receive public testimony, accept the cited CEQA exemption, and approve the staff recommended conditions of approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions for Jeff?
Just if we could go back to the recommendations of the offsets for the signs.
Which ones?
For both the, actually, I think they're on different pages. So the sign on the canopy,
That one?
no, the building, the staff recommendation. Much forward, like much.
Oh, one of the photos?
No, just the text. I'd like to see the, how much we need to leave on the sides. So we're reducing from a total square footage of 100% to three.
Oh, the canopy signs. Oh, okay. So they're each 50 square feet for a total of 100.
Yeah.
To be compliant, they would have to, if they're going to be exactly the same sign area, they'd have to be reduced to 37.5 square feet each for a total of 75.
And that would take care of the offsets from the top and bottom too.
Theoretically, it would, yes.
And then, how about the one on the building? How much were we supposed to leave on that one? 3.5 inches?
They need no less than 3.5 inches top and bottom. So maybe just reduce the height of the lettering a little bit.
Is this a new ownership?
Yeah, it's fairly new. The applicant can answer to that. I believe they've been there approximately a year.
And remind me, when was the fence was done prior to the new ownership?
Well, the business ownership and the property ownership are different entities. But yes, the fence was placed there prior to this business establishing.
The work that is being done by, on the site is the owners of the business or the property owner?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We have no more questions for Jeff. We'll
Yeah.
pass. Okay. So could the property owner or the business owner, whoever is speaking?
We're the business owner.
Okay.
Property owner right here in Weiss, Asher, Emerald, and, Tessa.
Okay. Well, whoever would like to speak, come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Tessa.
Hi. So just quick background on the new business establishment and essentially how we came to where we are today. So RPM's leased this office space and the entire site back in March of 2023. And the previous site use was auto sales, which is the same program as current dealership. The site consisted of the same building structure, canopy structure, and the kiosk, except with the kiosk, the canopy, and also the existing building were in a really bad condition, and they were damaged, rusted. So that was shown off, they were very visible everywhere. And the existing building also had signs of graffiti all over the building. The main canopy and the kiosk were painted white, and the existing building was painted orange with signs of graffiti all over the place. In addition to that, the existing canopy and the existing office building had multiple signs placed in there. And we just have here a photo. You can see there were multiple signs on the building and on the canopy. And the landscaped area consisted only of the existing palm tree, which exists currently there, and also the rest of the site was just dead landscape, nothing else, and trash. So once RPM leased this location, they did site cleanup, and to mitigate the issue with graffiti, they decided to paint the building black, not knowing that it was a permit required for only paint change. Since they did not do any changes to the main structures and building structures, they did not understand the need for permit only for paint change. So this is the reason why they decided to use black for the canopy and the building, just to mitigate the issue with the graffiti. And also regarding the landscape, after the cleanup, the only thing done to the landscape was remove the monument sign that was there, which at that time, they did not know if it was permitted or not, but they just decided to eliminate it. And also just add ground cover, which is mulch, like Jeff mentioned. So in addition to, so regarding the signage, RPM does not have current signs up. There's only one banner there, which can be eliminated if really need to. However, like Jeff mentioned, the sign permit drawings were submitted for approval, and the signage will be up once we receive a permit for all the signs. If those comments that Jeff mentioned, that the total square footage area for the signage shall be less than or equal to 70 square feet, we are willing to make that change to comply with the signage requirements. However, just, now that we know, we can make that modification and then resubmit the drawings. Regarding the landscape, we are also willing to work with you and provide drought-tolerant and low-maintenance plants and shrubs, flowers all over the landscape area to comply with city ordinances, as they were not aware at previous times, what the rules were exactly. And then regarding the fence, once the RPM leaves this location, the fence was up there already, and therefore we would like to invite the landlord to speak on that behalf, since RPM does not know anything on the fence. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. If you'd like to come up and speak, that's your option. Okay. Looks like he's saying no. It's your option to speak. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. If there's anything to add, it's your time.
Yeah. So I believe what Weiss wants to say is the fence was put by Khalidad Motors. The reason behind it, because I did speak to the previous owner, or the owner of Khalidad Motor. He did put the fence because there was homeless, trespassing, sleeping in the cars, destroying cars. I do believe that because even with the fence right now, we did have that. We still have that issue. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys decide to take out the fence, we don't have any problem with it, but our only problem is the cost of the removing the fence. It's like we didn't put it, so just that.
Okay. Thank you.
So, I mean, if Weiss wants to add something.
I'm slightly confused. Who put it in?
He's saying the prior,
Owner?
well, actually, we'll find out from the owner. Certainly not them, but,
Hello there.
hi.
Yeah, when I purchased the property back in 1999 from Tosco, it was chain link fence around it. I'm sure you saw the chain link fence. It was really bad. And next door, there's a bridge. Under the bridge there's a community living. It's all homeless peoples. I mean, it's really, really bad. Then when I bought the property in 1999, years later, I removed the fence and we put the chain link fence actually. Then we put a nice iron artwork fence there, which as you see, I mean, it's not a cheap fence, okay? And that's for the security reason. And still we have issue, because I don't know how the city of Pleasant Hill will deal with this, because that homeless situation right under the bridge is getting bad. I mean, it is absolutely, I mean, and every year is getting more people there, more trashes. So that's the only reason we built that fence there, to prevent those homeless to get inside the property. And I believe that was at least 15, 16 years ago that fence was there. And as you see next door to us, that they have a fence right in the middle of sidewalk. And there's a 8-foot fence. Our neighbor have like wooden fence. And our other neighbor, they have a building right on the next to the sidewalk. And across street from us, they have a wall right on the sidewalk. In our fence, the iron fence, you can see through it. I mean, it's not a cheap fence. And if the business owner, if they don't want that security fence, I mean, if they want to change it, that's you guys' decision. because that's a really security issue. And I mean, people are coming inside the lot. I mean, they're breaking the windows, the offices. We had that situation many times. And we called the police all the time. And then this property was permitted for auto sales, used to be a Concord Auto and RV. Almost for 20, almost for 13 years. Then 10 years, Cali Dad was there. And the fence was there all the time. And now they're getting permit for the sign, so I'm just the property owner. So whatever is the rule and situation for the city, you know, we respect that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
All right,
much.
thank
Unless anyone has any questions for anyone?
I do. I actually have a question for the owner. So it was my understanding that the 3-foot fence was approved. However, a 6-foot fence was built. So you pointed out to.
Okay, that project was a car ranch. We were supposed to build that place. Our main location was on Concord on Detroit Avenue. So when back in 2008 or 2007, when the economy collapsed, and then we decided to don't build that building. There was a building was approved, not just a fence. There was building, it was different, totally different. So that didn't happen.
So that didn't happen. And the 6-foot fence thereafter for a different use was built without permit?
That, to be honest with you, that was like almost more than 20 years ago. I even don't remember. It was because we removed the Changling fence and we built that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you
Is a
able?
permit or something? I'm sure you guys will have those records.
I don't have it.
Okay.
But my question is also along the lines then, would you be able to speak to the time when you did decide to make the 6-foot fence? Like, what was your thinking behind it? What were you?
Okay.
Why?
When I purchased the property, it was more than 6-foot Changling fence.
Yes.
Yeah, because if a 3-foot fence is this much, people
Yes.
can just cross over. You know what I mean? I mean, 6 feet that prevent, because they're selling expensive quality cars.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
May I say something? So my name is Emra. I'm one of the business owners for RPM Auto Collection. And one thing we're trying to do since we took over the lease in March 2023, we're trying to do everything the right way. So we started, the one thing that we didn't know about is painting that needs a permit. And we're business owners, we're not like architects or anything, and we should have asked. We painted it ourselves. We got the best kind of paint, and we did it ourselves. We spent all the money to make it look nicer. We took off all the old signage. The paint was white, orange, and pink, and it was rusted. We just wanted to make it look nicer. So we did that. The landscape was all trash and dead trees and dead plants around like the lot. So we just cleaned it up, left the ones that actually they're good. We're willing to plant more as long as the city tells us what exactly we need to do. And then the signage, we got a banner to just open up the business, but then we hired a signage company. We did pay them over $12,000 to get the signage permits, and then get us a signage that qualifies with the city to get it permitted. The last thing,
is the fence. One thing I would say, if we do have to remove the fence, we will, but at the same time, it will cause us a lot of trouble. And then the fence been there for over at least 10 years because I lived in Concord, went to high school in Walnut Creek since I was 18. And since I was in junior in high school, I was in Walnut Creek. And then I lived all my life between Walnut Creek, Concord area. And then that fence has always been there because when I was in my 20s, I knew the previous owners, Cali Motors, which is they moved on Detroit and Concord. They always had that fence. The fence, I don't think it's an issue for anybody. I'm not saying, I don't know anything about coding and anything, but at the same time, within 1 month, when we took over the lease, we had a big issue. One of the homeless people jumped the fence, was on top of our building, and they cut all the PG&E wires. And there's a case on it. We didn't sue them or anything. It happened, you know. And they broke multiple cars. We have a police report, and then the houses in front of us, their fence, it's all tagged. City of Pleasant Hill, we see them all the time, and we have pictures of that. They always send people over there to paint it black. So with that being said, if we remove the fence, it will affect our business. And we're family owned. We're not like a big franchise or a big company where we can afford, every time we lose a couple $1,000s, it will affect us a lot. But at the same time, if we've been Asher been in contact with Jeff, and we go over the emails all the time. Always what we need to know is, what do we have to do to keep our business running? Because we've been doing pretty good. We have people love us out there. We're having 4.9 reviews on Google. We're doing everything the right way. As long as you tell us what we need to do, we'll do it. To plant more in the landscape, we'll do that. The signage, we'll make it smaller to put them up there. And then if we're able to keep it up there, it will help us a lot, and it will protect us from losing money and protect our assets, which is the cars that's parked in the lot. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I just had one question on the landscaping piece, and I don't know if it's for tenant or owner, but is there irrigation already existing there? No irrigation. Okay.
So yeah, one of the site investigations we did was on the irrigation after we received the comment regarding the landscape, and there's no existing irrigation on site. So one plan that we thought and we discussed with the property owner, sorry, not property owner, but the business owner, was to have low maintenance and drought tolerant plants if possible, so that they can be watered, by them on a daily basis.
Thanks. I was curious about that, and the drainage and irrigation.
Could you please go back to the part in the presentation where there's recommendation for discussion for us?
Looks like it's frozen. Yeah.
I don't have any more questions, but I'm ready for discussion if you
Yeah.
guys are. Okay.
Well, no one else is here who's not already spoken, so I'll open the public hearing. Seeing no one, I'll close it. We have no speaker cards on this item. All right, so back to the commission for discussion.
I'm sorry. I have one question for you. So the 3-foot fence is what was approved and it's there for a reason, and that is to maintain visibility, right?
The purpose of the 3-foot high fence,
Right, so we can turn and like the people who drive, what is the reason for having the 3-foot height limit for the fence?
well, there's a couple of reasons. The front setback is required not to have any structures higher than 3 feet in it for several reasons. Some of it's aesthetics. And then the sight distance triangle needs to be maintained at the driveways for traffic safety and pedestrian safety.
Do we have any record of instances of accidents? So this, I'm trying to understand that this fence, the 6-foot fence has been in existence for a bit now. And because a new business has started to establish itself over there, it's come to our attention. I want to see if we were, like, if it's not posed any problem in the past, and if we can continue, like, sustainably continue to let it be the way it is.
This commission could not. This commission could only look at the design of the fence if it was 3 feet or less.
Yeah,
But it's a zoning standard,
okay.
so, yeah.
So,
In that
I'm
case-
sorry. Go
No, no,
ahead.
no. So in that case, we'd have to make a recommendation.
Well, you can't really make a recommendation. I mean, if nothing was done about the fence, it would become a code enforcement issue.
Okay,
And it would have to be either removed or again, reduced down to 3 feet.
okay,
So you can speak to the design of it if the applicant's proposing to reduce it to 3 feet or less.
okay,
Other than that, it just becomes a code enforcement issue
I see.
or have it removed or whatever.
Okay,
And so if they wanted to, what's their recourse? They want a 3-foot fence, apply for a variance?
They could apply for a variance and it would be reviewed by the planning commission.
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Um,
I think we're done with the, public comment.
May I just add one thing?
I mean, okay, either you both kind of raise your hand. I mean, if there's one quick thing, at the podium, please, so we can record it.
So, with my understanding is, we won't even be able to apply for, even if it's not permitted and it was installed before we took over the lease, we won't be able to apply for a permit for the
Variance?
fence. Variance, yeah. For the current fence, because if it's, I just have this, a question, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask it, but what I'm saying is, the next door neighbor, they do have a 7-foot fence and it's closed. Ours, it's see-through, which is, it's more safe, and they do have a 12-volt electricity in it after hours. So what I'm saying, and they have exactly the same fence, but higher, closed, no see-through. You won't even be able to see when their cars coming in and out, and it's a Pleasant Hill city. And if it's permitted, then why ours is not, or we can't get a permit for it? And then at the same time, if it's not permitted, that fence been there since let's say 2013, because I remember Calidat Motors had it. Why is the issue now after 11 years?
Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that, I mean, we're just here to look at the design of things. And so if you could, there are a few things you could do. You could report the neighbor if you think that they should, have their fence taken down. You can apply for the variance. But we can't permit that kind of exception to the regulation, this commission. We can only, as Jeff was saying, we could comment on a compliant fence that's 3 feet tall, which this obviously isn't. I mean, we could say, I guess we could approve a design of a 3-foot fence, but we don't have that in front of us. But if the issue is why them and not us, that's something you should really talk to Jeff offline and, whether it's a code enforcement issue or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the same time, we don't want to
I
get it to the code
get it.
enforcement. What I would say, if we have to remove it, we will.
Yeah,
It will affect us, yes, but if it haven't really affected anybody in the neighborhood or the businesses around us, they do have the same fence or
Yeah.
higher.
we understand.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. All right, with that, we're going to shut down any more public comment. The public comment's closed. You guys mind if I start this one?
Yeah, please.
I mean, I feel like the canopy, it should just comply. I actually don't have a problem with the colors. I saw the guy had a Dodgers hat on, so it must not be because of the Giants. But black and orange, I mean, whatever. You know, if it's not, I personally don't have a problem with it. But the signage, I think, should comply with the size standards. The landscaping is a requirement in, you know, commercial areas, and I think that compliance with that ordinance is just a given. And as far as the fence goes, we don't have authority to say yes. It's a code violation. But to me, when you get, there's the aesthetic part and there's the safety part. And to me, you can't waver on the safety part, you know, and it's in the sight distance triangle. I mean, looking at these pictures, there's a car parked in that triangle, you know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just saying, if someone pulls out and gets in an accident and that car's parked there, you know, and blocking the view of you turning out onto Monument, you know, as cars are flying by, people go fast down that street. Not giving legal advice, I'm just saying, when you block people's view and if they get in an accident, that's not a good thing. And so to me, you know, I understand that the fence has been there for a long time. I understand the security issues. I understand all that kind of thing. But when it comes to safety of people, of cars going fast on a road like that, that's where I would personally draw the line. But we're not actually talking about that.
I actually agree on all those points. I think the function and the intention of the color is, you know, equal to the aesthetic, and I've driven by it. I don't notice it, so it's not like a standout. Plus, it is the Giants. And then I do agree signage should comply with our standards, just to reduce the size to the recommended 75 total square feet. Landscape would be great, especially for that. I noticed the car too in the corner. I know irrigation and drainage, it's always an issue, but to see some landscaping would also maybe be a psychological blocker of people just trying to get in, offer a secondary shield. And then the fence, the safety is priority always in my book. So, but again, that's just my personal opinion, and we're not here to decide.
Just like choose to not comment on the fence at this point, I feel like. Okay. I do, despite the fact that there is a side triangle, the fact that this fence has existed for as long as it has, and without incident that we know of, I don't feel urged to make alterations, but I am not making any recommendations because I cannot in my current capacity. With regards to landscape improvements, I think the tenants are willing to keep comply with the sign and introduce landscape. So I think we're good on that front, and color is good. It's good. And yeah, no other comments.
I think I have a question for Jeff. So there's not actually, I mean, any landscaping proposed, right? I mean, it's just mulch. I mean,
Correct.
looking at this, so that's not compliant.
No.
Right.
We probably have to make a recommendation
Yeah.
against to submit a landscape.
Yeah, so what would be the best way to approach that with the landscaping?
So we did include the definition of landscape in our staff report, so the applicant's aware of it and commission's aware of it. Another way we could do it is one of the reasons we noted in the staff report of what the approved landscape plan was back in the day. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing, palm trees, I don't mean that, but maybe similar quantity of trees, shrubs, ground cover, whatever. You could give the applicant and staff some direction on what you would like to see out there. Maybe not, again, the exact species of plants, but again, quantities or sizes, 5 gallon, 15 gallon, 1 gallon. Just to give them some parameters so they kind of know where to start.
Drought resistance indigenous plants, and use the previous approved plan as a reference, so to speak, to
Okay.
build on it.
That plan, given its age, I mean, it probably does not.
We were not
comply.
able to find the project file, actually.
Oh,
So don't have the plan. Might have it on our old agendas, but it might be hard to read. I've looked at one today on a different site. It's almost impossible to read. And it was about the same year, just a different site. So we might have an idea, but at least we have the quantities and the sizes listed in the staff report. So that gives them a head start.
okay.
And they can choose where to distribute them, and it's recommended that it come back to this commission anyway, so.
So I was gonna say that plan, given its age, I mean, it wouldn't comply most likely, I'm assuming, with the
Oh, it wouldn't comply with the water
bottle water.
efficient.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's really just a
Exactly,
baseline to start from.
right.
Okay.
And that's why the condition includes compliancy with the with the water efficient ordinance.
Okay. Well, I mean, are we all kind of in agreement on the signage part of it? The colors?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So then it would just be, I guess, instruction on the landscaping, right?
Yes, sign good, landscape good, color, sign color good, landscape suggestion to, no, actually, they do need to come up with a landscape plan.
Yeah. And to clarify, when I say signage is good, I mean, it's everything Jeff said. It's the reduction, it's the spacing on the canopy and the building. So just complying with Jeff's recommendation, the signage and colors are good.
Okay.
All right, so for landscaping, what's our recommendation?
Recommendation to submit a landscaping plan
Use the old approval as the
as a
baseline
baseline. Yeah, if we can, whatever we can dig up.
and comply with the model water efficient landscape ordinance. I think we don't, what I heard from Jeff is the plans may or may not be around, but there's a description of what was in them, like quantities of trees and things like that. Is that right, Jeff?
Yes, and we wouldn't have, being that they were never established, we wouldn't have an approved plan. We would have the plan that the ARC reviewed in 2010, but since that was never submitted and executed, we don't have the approved landscape plan. So we have a general idea what was approved.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, or you can come up with a new plan too. We're just trying to give you a little bit of, yeah.
Right, you can modify it the way you want it.
Yeah. And you could speak to Jeff, offline about that. I guess we're just, that it kind of helps us with the recommendation, actually, almost more than anything.
Okay.
Then I guess the motion would be to approve it.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, if you want to make a motion,
I
sure.
made one. Would you like to make a?
I'll wait, you do it. I'm still learning.
So, I'd like to make a motion to approve the building colors and would recommend that the client submit a compliant landscape plan for review from staff and revise the signage on both structures to comply with Jeff's recommendations, staff's recommendation. And what are we recommending for the fence?
So the fence, we can stay silent on it, right? I mean, or can
Oh,
we?
yeah, that's addressed in 1.6, the fence. But have to be brought into compliance if the commission approves the conditions as recommended by staff. The fence would have to be brought into compliance no later than October 15th. Alternatively, they do have an option to apply for a variance. Since it's a code enforcement issue, it would have to be a timely submittal, and that could be reviewed by the planning commission based on the necessary findings. It may be approved, it may not be approved. That's up to the applicant to pursue that or not.
So so if we approve it per that condition, that recommended condition, can that be appealed to the planning commission then? I mean, is that other recourse for them, or is it
Yes.
just simply?
That would be in our letter as well, the appeal period. They can appeal either the entire decision, they could appeal any one or two conditions.
You asking if they can appeal condition 1.6 to the planning
Well, they
commission?
can't appeal it.
I'm asking if, yeah, I mean, if they, yeah,
No.
if they could. okay.
No, because that'd be for the design of the fence. But this isn't for the design of the fence, it's the height and the location.
It depends on how you look at it. I mean,
It's a little gray area.
is it a height variance or is it a location variance? So, okay, so then
The last part of my.
I didn't mean to interrupt
No, no,
your, I
no.
just wanted clarification.
you.
Yeah, so it would be approve as recommended.
Well, they couldn't appeal it because the findings would be architecture review findings and not variance findings, so that'd be the difference.
Okay,
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say that?
I was just saying they couldn't appeal it because the findings they'd be appealing would be architecture review permit findings, and they would need variance findings to get the fence approved, so.
So I would make. So if I recommend the staff, if I approve the staff recommendation of removal or revision of the unpermitted fence, would they still be able to apply for variance if they
Well,
so wish?
if they don't bring it into compliance, if you approve the conditions as stated or change the dates or whatever, if they don't comply, bring it in compliance by that date, then it'll become a code enforcement issue. Or they apply for a variance prior to that. I mean, it's already a code enforcement issue technically, but
I think you should just simplify it because we're thinking too much about a variance. And you should just modify 1.6 condition to just remove the in addition design 3-foot fence and leave the last part. So you would leave the first part all the way up in long entirety of the portions of the east and west property lines, remove the entire next sentence, and keep the fence shall be brought into compliance no later than October 15, 2024.
Okay, there you go. So my part.
And then we don't need to talk about variance because we can handle that on our end.
okay.
Great.
And that's the motion then, is
Yes.
to
you're talking about just
Remove all of
removing this one.
1.6.
remove the portions of 1.6 as stated by Troy, along with all the other, everything else you already said about the landscaping and the signage. Okay, clear.
I second that.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
Commissioner Kapoor,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll send a letter out tomorrow. That'd be good. Give you a call or whatever. Okay, good luck. All right.
Still got a couple items here?
Yeah.
All right, next is staff communications.
I can't think of any communications, but I'm not Haley, so, but I'm not aware of any communications for right now.
All right, upcoming projects and future meetings.
We do have some items coming before you. We have some, what do we have? We have potential, well, I guess there's a couple of residences coming before you. The Contra Costa Country Club modifications is out there. Hopefully will come back before you. We haven't had much movement on the the ponds at Ellenwood, but they start and stop. So I haven't given up yet on them, but it's been a while. But I think they're actually coming around, so you may see that at some
Okay.
point, yes. So, and I think that's the high-level summaries for now.
All right, and then unless any of us have any questions, all right, then with that, we are adjourned. Oh, and the next meeting of the Architectural Review Commission is scheduled for August 15th, 2024 at 5 PM.